We have officially owned this truck for 1 year, and I have some things I would like to cover on it. I get a lot of questions on which vehicle someone should buy if they're in the market for a newer diesel pickup truck. And I'm going to tell you right now, I really do think that these L5Ps are the best all-around vehicle for a diesel pickup truck. Now, I know that's a bold statement. We have put 30,000 miles on this truck in 1 year. I have done the mods list. I'll show you guys again. We have done quite a bit under the hood, really, and we have quite a bit more on the way. As you guys can see here, we have 91,000 miles. We bought it with right around 61,000. Since we have bought this truck, we have done some things under the hood. I'm not going to say this is a crazy build by any means. It's a tow truck. But if you look, we've done the Whirly intercooler pipes. We have done the Fleece map sensor relocation kit. We've also done the Fleece all lights on module. We've done the Whirly custom fab intake on here. And then not pictured, but we have a tuned TCM and ECM from Calibrated Power. Now, when I tell you this truck tows extremely well, I'm going to explain to you. It's a single rear wheel 3500. We have towed a 28-foot enclosed trailer back and forth. We were 21,000 something pounds gross on our way out to Southern California. It towed phenomenal, didn't skip a beat. We got about 10.8 miles per gallon. Not bad. When you take into account, we had to go climb the New Mexico plateau, climb out of West Texas, and then drop through all the mountains in Arizona, as well as some of the mountains in Southern California. I think that's a win. On the way home, unloaded, we got about 13 miles per gallon. So it does extremely well there. Now, as far as heavy towing, I have that 40-foot gooseneck that you guys see us take everywhere. UCC KOS are our heaviest. We're right around 33,000 pounds gross. This thing does not skip a beat. I've posted some videos of the exhaust brake as well. By far, compared to a 6.7 Power Stroke, the L5P exhaust brake is absolutely night and day difference. No, it is not a Cummins exhaust brake, but it is dang good. Now, the only real complaints I have on this truck, we've kind of already fixed. First one, I hated how much chrome this truck had. But since we have bought it, we've paint matched the grille, the hood scoop, the mirror caps, the door handles, got rid of most of the badges. The ones that left a shadow are now black. And we put our Morimoto fog lights and headlights in our truck. I've really liked these headlights. These are a huge improvement over stock. The only other complaint I really have on this Duramax, and it's just unfortunate, the def tank is just super unsightly. I know a lot of people want this thing to hit a speed bump. Stay tuned. But other than that, on the L5P, I don't have much negative to say. This thing rides better than any 3/4 1-ton truck with the independent front suspension. With our wider wheels and tires versus our stock setup, I haven't had any premature front end failure. Again, I'm not going to say that they're indestructible, but I will say these things are a lot stronger than I originally thought. I used to be a huge Duramax hater. For those of you guys that don't know, in my lifetime, I've owned 36 pickup trucks, an LBZ Duramax, this L5P, 3 6-liters, 1.73, and all the rest have been second, third, fourth, or fifth gen Cummins trucks. So as a guy that really loved the Ram Cummins platform, I would take this truck over a 4th or 5th gen Ram, and I would take it over any generation of the 6.7 Power Strokes. Now, I know a lot of that is taken with a grain of salt. I'm just looking at, as a shop owner, the amount of 6.7s that come in tore up versus L5Ps and the bill associated with each. Now, if you guys didn't know, on the L5Ps, these things have CP4 or HP4 injection pumps. Now, I'm not going to say they're indestructible. We have seen some fail. not personally, but on forums and stuff. But this fuel pump seems to be a night and day difference over the HP4 or CP4, excuse me, of the LML. The fuel system on this, 750 horsepower, I believe, is about where they top out stock. That is basically the 6.4 Power Stroke fuel system of today. These things are absolute animals. They sound really cool with the emissions not on them. And God, these stock bottom ends, stock sealed motors. Like I said, if you don't follow some of these guys, Whirly Custom Fab, Travis Piedman, I'm trying to think who else. Goodness gracious. Neil Derringer, I might have butchered your name, but you're talking compound turbo trucks making 1,000 horsepower on factory sealed motors. No head studs, nothing. And now that I think about it, the other upgrade we did do to this is our fluid damper. Now, when you're looking at this truck, the one thing that is a little, I guess, unfortunate on the L5Ps, if you want to reverse level it, you really can't. The way they stack the leafs right on the axle here, let me get the light on. Right on the axle here, the only way to reverse level this truck is to put lowering shackles on it, which I do have plans for. It's just with the move and everything else, we don't have time. This truck, we did install the B&W hitch. I have had no complaints with it. The bed cover came with it. I think I would buy this bed cover again. I've really liked it. You can stand on it if you want to, and I am not a light guy by any means. Moving into the back of these trucks, kind of halfway between a quad cab and a mega cab in a Dodge. The back seats don't recline, but they do have a lot of legroom back here for adult passengers, so not too bad. The styling inside, very nice, especially if you like black. This, again, this is a Denali package. Oh my goodness, how'd that get in there? But still haven't cleaned up from my road trip, obviously, big water guy. And inside, the interiors on these trucks, super nice. You have the glove box, then the 007 compartment up here. Very nice center console. I'm not sure if this is all trucks or just mine, but I have a safe in here, which is very convenient for other things pictured in the video. And the radio, fantastic. Heated seats, cooled seats, powered seats, memory seat recall. Steering wheel controls are great. I've had amazing luck with the Allison thus far. I will say, if you're gonna tune these trucks, you have to transmission tune them. They do not shift right with elevated horsepower levels and a stock TCM profile. Now, one of my biggest gripes with this platform to date has got to be the expense of tuning it. Whether it's even emissions on, it's still very high. It's kind of now shown itself in the newer Rams as well, and the newer Power Strokes. Everything's more expensive, but for the time frame of 18 Ford, 18 Ram to 18 L5P, these things are outrageous. So I get that the expense to tune them it's up there, and I get it. The other complaint I have on the 6-speed Allison is 5th and 6th gear are too close. I wish they would have taken the between 4th, 5th, and 6th and just divided it evenly. What you'll find is, let's say you're going 70, 6th gear will put you at 1800 RPM, 5th gear will put you at 2100 RPM, 4th gear will put you at like 2600 RPM. So it would have been nice if they would have just slid 5th down closer to 4th, and I think this truck would have towed even better. So that's really my biggest gripe with it. I haven't had the typical L5P issue yet of the pigtails, but you guys already know we keep those on us. Fleece hooked us up with their pigtail kit, so I'm always ready for a breakdown on that injector pigtail. The other problem that L5Ps have is this right here. You pull this map sensor out of the intake charge pipe, or I guess intake manifold really, and move the sensor here. That problem took care of itself. Mine was pretty sooted up, so I could definitely see that being a problem in the future if we hadn't I guess, dealt with it. Then moving on, you have a Borg-Warner turbo, which these things seem to be pretty stout. Haven't had much complaints. My other biggest complaint, which I can fix, I just haven't, is the engine oil fill being all the way down here. You got to kind of get creative with the funnels, as you guys have seen in previous videos. I'm not a big fan of that. As far as the engine goes, zero problems. We've taken care of it. A little bit of maintenance, oil changes, air filters, fuel filters. Made sure I, greased stuff, checked the fluids. I'm pretty good at maintaining vehicles. When we use these vehicles as hard as we do to get to places, I do try to take care of it. My last gripe, and I get it, I really do think GM was trying to prevent people from putting DEF in their diesel tank. But as you guys can see, I'm getting pretty good at not spilling. It still just makes a mess under the hood filling with diesel exhaust fluid. Like, this is DEF up here. You got some crystals down here. Whether you're filling it up with a jug or filling it up with like the plastic bottles or at the pump, it's kind of a nightmare to get the DEF into the tank. So that's really my biggest complaint on these trucks. And that should tell you something. I don't really have a lot of negative to say. Since we started this shop, we've had 3 L5Ps come in. One was an emissions problem. One was an exhaust manifold gasket blew out, which that can happen on any of the platforms. The one thing I will say is the studs are not reusable. If that exhaust manifold gasket breaks, blows out, stud breaks, replace all 8 of them, or you'll go to finish torquing it and you'll snap another one and have to start that process all over again. So anyway, this is kind of my 1 year in review on the L5P. It's still emissions on. It still tows every day, or not every day, but when it's hooked up. And actually I got proof of that. Give me a sec. I'll show you guys how much we tow with this thing. So here is my average fuel economy for the past 15,000 miles, 10.3 miles per gallon. And as you can see by our average speed, not a ton of idle time. 47 mile an hour is our average speed, 10.3. This truck tows almost exclusively. So, like I said, on the inside here, you got your CarPlay hookup, you got all your switches, exhaust brake, dual climate control, nice radio. I like the gear shifter, feels good in your hand. Doesn't feel so chintzy, kind of like your 3rd gen Rams. All the steering wheel controls work. My last complaint on this truck really is right here. I don't understand why GM didn't just give you a percentage or a miles till empty. Ford gives you a miles till empty on DEF. Ram gives you a separate DEF gauge. GM basically lets it go to the point where it'll kick on the message center and tell you 150 miles till E on DEF. Little inconvenient when you're trying to plan out truck stops, stuff like that. I've kind of calculated it out to it burns about a gallon of DEF every 400 miles when towing. Going with that plan, I've kind of been able to set myself up, but I do wish they would have just given you a percentage, distance till empty, something. One last complaint I have, and this isn't even against GM, this is whoever installed these airbags. They decided to link these bags together. So when you start rocking on the truck, the airbags will actually shift pressure from one side to the other. So I bought this little kit from Amazon, and we're gonna go ahead and basically add 2 fills for our airbags. So instead of them being teed together, where I fill one Schrader valve, it fills both bags, we will actually individually be able to fill them, which should help with some of the sway on a single rear wheel truck. For the people that were unclear, basically this went to my fill nozzle. These were the 2 airbag lines. We pulled this one out of the driver's side or passenger side, and I was able to reroute the driver's side one to reuse the existing line. So yes, I know I need new shocks, already in the works, but anyway, now that one line goes there, and then our second air fill will feed this line, which routes up there, and then we will have essentially independent airbag fill, which will stop it from doing this when you go around a turn, as the air is able to share between the 2 bags. And finish off this quick little tech tip install on a Saturday. We got our 2 air feed lines now. The red one is left, the black one is right, and now we can essentially fill them both without it teetering. Let's get back and finish out the video. All in all, if you're in the market for a new truck and you haven't been a fan of previous Duramax generations, I encourage you to try it. If you're a dead set Ram guy, I would encourage you to broaden your horizons. If you're a Ford guy, again, I would encourage you to broaden your horizons. At least go test drive one of these things. They're absolute animals. My truck makes about 615 horsepower emissions on. With turbo upgrades, stuff like that, we can push that even higher. That is bone stock. Here is a great exhibit of a Ford. This is a 2018 Ford. It's now on motor number 2. So although it can happen on the L5P, I do not see a lot of guys having to replace motors on these. These, again, more on the road for sure, but they seem to definitely go through motors at a much quicker rate than their L5P counterparts. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my 1 year of review. I always get new tow rigs quite often, and I can tell you that for the foreseeable future, I'm going to continue on with this L5P. I haven't really found anything yet that tickles my fancy. I'm not really sure if I want to buy a new truck with the interest rates the way they are. So we will continue to hammer out with this first generation L5P. Hopefully you guys like this one. Drop your comments down below. Subscribe if you are not already. And as always, guys, I will catch y'all on the next one.